Hi, Greg here with A&A Masonry. Again, we're on another job. We're just getting started. This was a condominium complex that called us in to do some typical foundation repair, what we call parging, brick replacement because of water damage. Let me show you some of the things as to why this is happening on this particular project and how we're going to solve it in a different way using SurGuard. The pillar behind me, you can see the way it's designed. Inferior, slightly off, whatever they had the design, but the water is flowing off. It's cascading down. We've already had some brick replacement on this particular pillar sometime before we got here. You can see the brick spalling just like we would see in a typical chimney and so forth. Now, we're not going to replace this. We're going to seal it with SurGuard. The reason we're going to do that, if we just go ahead and replace these bricks, number one, we have to essentially rebuild this particular pillar, but it's going to happen again because we really have no solution for the water that's going to cascade over it. SurGuard, it's a high build coating. It's going to protect the brick. The water's not going to be able to penetrate it. When it freezes, it's not going to be able to spall, and these lenses of brick and masonry work start to spall, causing erosion and further damage that this condominium complex will have to deal with again. That's the nice thing. The guys are in the back. There's 8 of these. We're going to take care of them. Let me show you the foundation.
A&A Masonry, an award-winning company servicing the Greater Toronto Area and the Golden Horseshoe.
Now here's the other part of this job. This is the foundation. Obviously, you can see where I'm pointing to. There's erosion that's happening. There's pockets. There's cavities where prior cement or parging has flaked off, and you can see it on the ground here. Now, typically, a masonry solution would be to parge. We put a thin layer of mortar. We layer it up after we clean off the foundation somewhat. And then as it's drying, we'll texturize it. It'll bond, it'll work, it'll prevent further erosion, but eventually it'll sacrifice itself. And then this will happen again, causing another job, another expense for this property. So in order to avoid that, we're using SurGuard. And SurGuard is that high build coating that is going to seal this foundation. But first, before we do that, we're going to power wash it. We're going to exfoliate all the dirt and grime and pollution that's on this foundation and any loose debris that may want to come off. We're going to fill it with a cementitious type of cement, like a hydraulic cement. It dries very quickly. It bonds very well to the existing cement. It's a Portland base, so it's similar components. And it's like a waterproofing product. So once we seal up and firm this up a little bit to minimize these cavities, aesthetics, and then we can seal it with SurGuard, we get a consistent color, an acrylic bond, and protection that is going to seal it from water penetrating. But it will also allow, that material will allow this foundation to naturally breathe and expel any kind of condensation that's occurring from the warm area on the inside. And the reason that we want that to happen is to prevent any peeling or flaking, so that once we seal this condominium association does not have to worry about this situation ever happening again. Essentially, it's protected, it's sealed, and they can go on to doing other forms of repair for their budgets and so forth.
The first thing the crew need to do is to mix and fill in by trowel a moisture-resistant, rapid-drying skim coat patching underlayment. An underlayment means basically a thin layer of material that is sandwiched between other materials. This is a trowel-grade underlayment formulated from a blend of Portland cement and other hydraulic cements that provides a smooth surface over a variety of substrates and will dry in as little as 30 minutes. Once this gets underway, the crew do the work necessary to get the hydraulic mixture applied to the spalling surface of the foundation. This can be time-consuming, as all the holes and rough areas need to be filled and then made smooth before the SurGuard acrylic coating can be successfully applied. Nevertheless, the crew take the needed time to make sure the foundation is fully covered for a perfect result. The next section that the crew address are the brick columns that Greg talked about earlier. As you can see, the design of the columns as they relate to the balconies shows a poor water management design. They're designed to have water cascading down the bricks, thus causing erosion. Without engaging in a huge expensive construction project to rebuild the columns, SurGuard acrylic coating can be applied to fully protect the bricks from any erosion for a long time. In the same way that the foundation needed to be prepared, so do the columns. This means replacing any needed bricks as well as tuck pointing them so they are in perfect shape when the SurGuard acrylic coating is applied. You can see the shape of these columns and the damage that water has caused over time. Once any needed bricks are replaced and the tuck pointing is done, the crew was able to apply the SurGuard acrylic coating to the columns. You can see here the various columns that are now completed with SurGuard. This completely combats any water deterioration problems despite any design flaws of the building.
Okay, here we are at the apartment block complex where we had an issue with the spalling brick on the columns. If you remember, I was standing in front of them before. They were spalling bricks, the face was coming off, some were cracked. The solution typically would be to replace the bricks and move on. In this case, because of the design where the water cascades inefficiently off the patio down the brickwork, that's what's causing the problem. So just to replace the bricks, just to do some repointing, it's going to happen again. In this case, we're able to use SurGuard, and that's that coating, that high build coating that is a proprietary mix that A&A is able to apply to these situations, and it'll prevent that water deterioration from happening again. So once we replaced a few bricks, we did a little bit of the point work between the mortar joints. We then coat it with SurGuard, and that will prevent water from adhering to the brickwork. When it freezes, it'll want to spall. It doesn't happen in this case. Any moisture that may naturally get in behind the brickwork, there's a metal post in that column. Any natural moisture that's in there, the SurGuard will allow it to breathe and exit that column naturally, so there'll be no blistering, peeling, anything of that nature. The association chose a color that best matched the building, which is a benefit with SurGuard for an aesthetic thing, an appearance that you can choose the color that best suits the design and matches with the complements of the house or the building in this case. It looks beautiful. Again, the purpose is to prevent that masonry deterioration and those expensive repairs that this association would have to deal with in years and years to come. SurGuard just eliminates that, beautifies it. We move on to the next thing. The guys are getting the steps ready for urethane. Let's go take a look and see how they're doing. Okay, here's the final stage of this particular job for this condo association. We have a set of stairs in the front, also in the back, very similar in size and configuration. We're going to seal this with a urethane. It's a proprietary mix that A&A uses to make it stronger than epoxy, more flexible. They can match a nice color, but it'll seal it. Unlike the SurGuard high build coating that we use on foundations where we want it to breathe one way, this is just going to seal it. It's going to give it a nice finish. We're going to seal it with also using some silica sand, which will give it a little bit of a texture, making it non-slip. Once we do that, this condominium association won't have any of these issues on the foundation, the brick on the pillars where there's some mismanagement of water, and the front and back stairs. It'll be done and sealed permanently, which is what we like.
One of the first things the crew need to get done is grinding down the surface to remove existing paint and exfoliate grease and debris off the steps. Once this is done, they fill in cracks and holes to even out the surface with the underlayment consisting of the blend of various hydraulic cements. This is done to create a stable, smooth surface from which to apply the SurGuard urethane coating to. And here you can see the stairs, both in the front and in the back, with the finished urethane coating complete. This creates a permanent seal that will not peel or degrade and last the life of the structure. Now, with all areas addressed, with SurGuard acrylic and urethane coatings, this condominium complex can rest easy knowing their masonry products on the building are upgraded and looking good and protected for decades to come. From the columns, the foundation, to the steps, these complete areas are safe from any more erosion problems in the future. To schedule your next project, contact A&A Masonry today.